closely at Savannah College of Art and Design's animated short, Rick and Rocky, and you'll see nothing short of a masterpiece in motion. A team of talented students used cutting-edge technology to bring to life the classic story written by SCAD President Paula S. Wallace.
It's a moral fable about friendship between two best friends, Rick and his cat Rocky, and it teaches children that friendship is more important than a temporary misunderstanding.
The team of students spent thousands of hours putting it all together, meanwhile using the latest in video and animation technology.
The filmmaking process that we developed was really cutting edge. We shot all the stop motion animation in high definition 24p format. A traditional video camera captures at 29.97 frames per second. The Sony HD Cam has the ability to capture at 24 frames per second with a progressive scan system, which basically means that we no longer have interlaced images coming into the camera. They're actually a progressively scanned image, just like you'd see on a tabletop scanner that hooks up to a computer.
Progressive scanning makes motion appear smoother, objects more solid, and with the ability to shoot the same 24 frame per second rate as film, the HD camera provides a film-style look with tons of high-tech flexibility.
The HD camera that we have, the Sony HD Cam, has a special feature, which is it shoots multiple formats. You don't and multiple frame rates, so you don't necessarily need to shoot 24p. You can also shoot 60i, which is an interlaced format, and you can shoot 30p if you want.
Controlling and integrating digital elements was key to the production team's success. For this, the students put a state-of-the-art editing system, still in its development phase, to a real-life test.
The Reality HD editing system is a hardware editing suite that was designed by DPS Leach Technology. We were the first people to own one of those suites, and we actually worked with DPS to develop the software that operates that system, as well as an animate software that they wrote for us in order to shoot stop motion on that system.
Another big bonus of a totally digital production setup: instant playback and instant results.
One of the biggest advantages of using the HD camera was that we would get instant results, and we would see exactly what we had when we shot in the studio, rather than shooting it on film, which would be not only time-consuming because we would get our dailies later on. This way we'd had dailies right there on the screen. And another thing was that we were shooting digital, so since we had the still frames already, we would just give them to the CG department, and they would take care of the stills right away. We wouldn't have to go through any digitizing process or anything because it was already in the computer as still target files.
All the character animation in Rick and Rocky is a combination of stop-motion animation and computer-generated elements.
Every single shot, every single frame of the film has some sort of compositing or visual effect element. The puppets were foam latex stop-motion puppets that were animated frame by frame on set in front of our 24p camera. We then took that footage into a post-production suite where we created 3D models of each of the characters' heads that included the eyes and the mouth for all the facial expressions. All the environments within the film are a combination of practical set pieces, usually a wall or a piece of furniture, which we then used for kind of placement and lighting reference. The rest of the background for each shot was actually a green screen that we had on set when we did all of our animation. Our digital artists then went in afterwards and replaced all of the green screen with digital set elements that we created in the computer. So about 85% of the shots that you see in the film were shot in front of a green screen, and there is a digital set that surrounds the characters throughout the film.
Everything that the characters or the puppets touched would be real, and everything that they didn't touch would be CG. The trickiest part about shooting this was that the computer-generated imagery would have to match the stop motion that we shot, so we had to keep pretty accurate camera logs with the focal length that we used, so the perspective would be matched, and also exactly where the lights were placed relatively to the subject. With the computer, they place lights that will mimic the lights that we used on the set.
Physical lighting set the mood and set the stage for animating the puppets.
A lot of the times we would use during the daytime sequences, interiors there, we put a little orange just to warm up the scene, just a touch. The biggest thing was a nice soft area of light.
Another high-tech piece of equipment for shooting the puppets was the motion control rig.
It was a tool that we used to create camera movements that were precisely controlled.
We designed each of the camera moves through the pre-production phase. Then we mounted the camera onto the motion control rig, which is basically a big motorized arm that's controlled by a computer.
We would program the movement and see what it would look like moving real time, and then we could make it move frame by frame, programming to 24 frames in. We were very lucky to have it, and it added a whole new dimension to the movie to have those camera moves.
Of course, those camera moves took planning in the crucial step of storyboarding.
Essentially, it's a blueprint of the whole animation. Without the blueprint to go by, the animators wouldn't know what to do. It's very important. The timing, the staging, so you're almost directing in a way with the picture form. You're working for the book. You want to keep it pretty close, but I did embellish a little bit, like in the bathtub scene, for instance. He takes a bath in the book, takes a bath, dries off, and the storyboards I actually had him splash the cat. The cat got wet and things like that. Embellish a little bit, but stay true to the actual storyline.
Ready for another exercise in perfection? Meet the stars of stop motion, the puppets.
The idea was they wanted the stop motion puppets to have the perfect look and the perfect feel of computer animation. In a way, it was sort of a sly nod to the computer animation medium through stop motion. So the workflow originally started out, we were trying to sculpt the puppet, sculpt the Rick, and that wasn't working because every little inconsistency in the clay was showing up in the mold. So what we ended up doing was taking the 3D model and printing it out with a rapid prototyper. For instance, the resin cat back here, Rocky started out as a model in Maya in the computer, and that model was taken to a rapid prototyping machine, which takes the model and prints out layer by layer a plastic copy. So after about 24 hours, you have a plastic exact duplicate of the 3D model in the real world. And then we took that and made a multi-piece mold off of it, which allowed us to pour foam latex, a rubber system that we can inject into that mold and then pull out a flexible puppet, which is the exact duplicate of the 3D model. There's a wire and aluminum armature inside. The major masses like the torso and the hips and the head are made out of either plastic or a machined aluminum block. And then the bones and the joints are twisted wire, which is just armature wire that we twisted together to cut to specific lengths and then put together in sort of an assembly line process. So at any one time, we'd have 4 or 5 different Rick skeletons or Rocky skeletons ready to go. So as soon as a puppet was used for the last time, it was too beat up, we'd strip the skin off, put the armature inside the mold, and make a new puppet, which would be ready in 24 hours. The sets had holes drilled throughout the floor, so anytime a puppet had to move or walk, the foot could be bolted to the floor through the hole it was hidden. It was exciting as the project went along and we really got into the groove.
The custom-designed music track for Rick and Rocky was performed by the band Snake Oil Medicine Show.
They loved it. They got really excited about it right away, and we worked together for 6 weeks to compose an original score. They're really an eclectic mix of styles.
That's all I need to do.
When we recorded, we used the facilities here at SCAD. We worked over in Hamilton Hall with Matt Akers, who's our sound design professor. He actually engineered all of the music as well as the sound effects. We worked really hard. We had about 3 14-hour days of recording over in our studio here, but we were all really happy with how it came out, and I think it really suits the piece. I think it really reflects the personality of the subject matter, and that was what was most important to me in putting that soundtrack together the way we did.
Working on the Rick and Rocky project gave students a chance to reach for the stars on both a personal and professional level.
We wanted to come up with a progressive production system that really gave the students a chance to work at the highest level in whatever field that they were working in, whether it was video or stop motion or traditional animation. So we tried to push the envelope as far as we could in all those areas.